I think you might notice a little bit of a different voice right now, leading you off. That is because Yehuda, the original guest star.
You're not a guest. You're one of us. We switched our whole name because of you.
Don't give away our secret.
But you knew, like, the Ravens need one touchdown. Like, the Broncos might score one more field goal. So if you get one more touchdown, you win 10-9. You can win 10-9.
I'm going to go with the Commanders as well, just because it's too much of a question mark over there on the center position.
I can't believe you saw that right now. That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got the full package.
No way. I don't care. No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy. Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
Meisty's prediction was 47-36, his joke prediction. Eagles. I'm like, he actually kind of had the idea. I heard a couple people predict Eagles blowout. A couple throughout the week. And I've heard the dozens of predictions. You know? A couple people were like, no, the Eagles are a way better team. But I mean, listen, if we didn't have prior knowledge of the way Mahomes plays against teams that are superior to him, we would have said on paper, there's no question, the Eagles are a way better team. But we just, like, this has been the Chiefs the last 3 years. They win in the most ridiculous ways. They make the extra plays when they need to. The margins are very thin, and they know how to convert the third downs. They know how to convert in the red zone. They know how to kick that extra field goal when they need it. Like, everything they need to do, they do. So we just assumed they'll do the same thing this game. That's what I assumed, at least, you know? And it did not turn out that way.
Yep. In the first half, the Chiefs had more turnovers than first downs.
Crazy. I mean, the game was 34-0 before the Chiefs even crossed midfield. Remarkable. It's just remarkable. Like, literally, it was 34-0, and we were telling ourselves, oh, the Chiefs have one first down the entire game. And finally, they get the one big play to Worthy, right? The 40-yard pass to Worthy. They didn't even get a touchdown. No, they got a touchdown that drive. I'm sorry. Right. No, it wasn't to Worthy. He hit someone else 40 yards down the field, then he hit Worthy in the end zone. Right.
No, it was Worthy. For the first catch, the big catch was Worthy.
And then he hit Worthy again in the end zone?
I believe so.
By the way,
I don't know if
you know that Worthy had like 160 yards in this game?
Yeah, that's what I saw a tweet from like Xavier Worthy had the quietest 8 catches for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns ever.
Literally.
Yeah, that was insane garbage time.
I know that was by the way, that last touchdown pass to Worthy was pretty sick. The one from Mahomes, where it's like, where was that the whole game? And where was that the whole season? They didn't have that deep ball 50 yards down the field, 50-yard touchdown. That was like what happened with Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs, you know? Not with Xavier Worthy and the Chiefs.
It's why people are very reactionary and they say, oh, the Chiefs are over. And it's like, congrats, they didn't do what has never been done before. And that still is the hardest thing in NFL history. But there's no doubt in my mind they're going to be in the AFC Championship next year again. I don't know if they'll host, genuinely. Don't know if they'll host, but they're going to be in the AFC Championship again. They just do it every year. But they're going to get Rashi back next year. And with Worthy developing as a receiver, like you said, Tyreek Hill, I don't know if he'll ever get to that level, but he's so fast. And he's starting to learn how to be a better receiver. Kelsey is done. He's clearly too washed. And so they're going to need another guy, tight end, solid middle of the field guy. But Rashi Rice was their short area, Travis Kelce type before he got hurt, or like he would get the targets that Kelce typically get. And then if they have if Hollywood comes back as their third receiver, like that's fine, that's solid. Pacheco will be better because he's coming off a freaking broken leg. Like Kareem Hunt is clearly cannot run, can't run more than 12 yards at a time. So maybe they'll have to switch to more of a passing game, which actually be more exciting football-wise. I think it'd be more exciting to see the Chiefs like closer to 2018, 2019 Chiefs than this boring-ass era of the Chiefs where they're ball control defense, which I think they still will try to do, but they may have to throw it more because the defense was... I mean, can't fully blame it on the defense because they're on the field the whole time you get tired. And like the offense did not help them at all, and we're constantly going 3 and out, so... Whatever, defense will still be solid, but like the Chiefs, to say like like people say for his legacy, for Mahomes' legacy, the GOAT debate is over. It's like this man is still going to play for another 15 years. Like,
of course. So stupid.
You guys are so stupid. Like, you don't understand. His story is not over. If he retired right now, then yeah, Brady is probably the best because he's won 4 Super Bowls, but he's not retiring for another 15 years. And maybe this is the beginning of the end, and teams will finally realize that football. Well, I mean, the Eagles have known this, but like football is all 53, and it starts in the trenches, and this is so validating for us who are saying
it's a team game.
Who are
it's a team game.
For all the people who. I know for a lot of casual fans, it's the quarterbacks versus each other, even though they're never on the field at the same time.
That's like, right. It's like Joe Burrow beat Patrick Mahomes. He's 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes. No, that's not the way it works.
That's not the way it works. So this is incredible to see a defensive line dominate like this, and this is how the Giants beat Brady a couple times, and how their defense was able to step up. Even though the Eagles were the better team, it's not exactly comparable because the Eagles were clearly the better, more talented team, and then they put it all together today, and the Chiefs were skating by and in close wins. And this game really showed like a more complete team winning the ultimate team game. It's just incredible, and you can't skate by the power of a really good quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. The Eagles had a better roster, right? I mean, we all agree with that. The Eagles had the best team in football this year. Especially the Lions might have had a case before their defense got depleted. But certainly, Aiden Hutchinson went out, and then they had, 9 of their starters were injured at a certain point this year. So by that point, you're like... And also, I mean, listen, the Lions' run game was really good this year. The run blocking was great. Jameer Gibbs is great in space. That's true. And the pass game was great in rhythm. But you saw Sunday night against the Texans that Jared Goff goofy type of situation. You saw, when you can roll him out, put him out of rhythm, he's not a guy that's going to improvise well like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. He's just not that type of guy, right? You kind of have to have quick passing game, get the ball out quickly, get your big players, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams in space. That's your formula. But if the formula is off, you're probably not going to have a lot of success. That happened against the Texans, and then it came back to haunt them in the playoffs as well. So I kind of figured... Let me change the thing over here.
Hey, we're gonna lose to the Eagles anyway.
I kind of figured I thought they were going to lose to the Eagles anyway, and I kind of figured that the Eagles would be the team that eventually would make the Super Bowl. That's why we both predicted Chiefs-Eagles before the playoffs. I thought Chiefs is inevitable just through the Chiefs, and the Eagles just have the best team in football. They have the best roster in football. They have a great passing game which goes under the radar all the time, right? Like you forget because they ran for 2,000 yards on the ground this year, and obviously the run blocking was great, and Saquon Barkley made all the headlines. But you forget that like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are out there, and Dallas Goedert, like one of the best 1-2-3 punches in the league. And obviously the defense made a lot of headlines this year, but you also forget that Jalen Hurts can make some downfield throws. And I think, by the way, I am very impressed. Who's not going to get enough credit, even though he did get Super Bowl MVP. Jalen Hurts, in my mind, made 4 spectacular throws in this game, at least, just off the top of my head. Like that.
The deep throw to Devontae Smith, that touchdown.
First spectacular. Of all, if it wasn't 34-0 or 31-0, whatever it was before that,
I think it was
27-0. That throw gets talked about a lot more. I'm just saying.
That was an underthrow. Look at it. That's what I said. The first time I thought it was a really good throw, but I think it was the guy. He had a yard or two of separation, and he had to slow down. In my opinion,
but when you throw 45 yards down the field, if you have to make it slow down a little, it's still considered a really good throw. That's considered an on-target, big-time throw, even for that. Like it's very hard to make those downfield throws in the end zone when you only have 5 yards to the out-of-bounds marker. Right. So you have a narrow lane, and then the back shoulder to A.J. Brown. I thought the timing was perfect on that on the third down. Both of them really. The one got called back by the penalty, but then the one that didn't get called back from the penalty the next drive, I thought was fantastic. I thought the downfield throw to Dotson was great, and then I thought the throw to Barkley that he bobbled was a fantastic comeback, or near the sideline, how he threw it back toward the inside. I think that was a great throw. I think those 4 throws itself kind of gave Jalen Hurts these Super Bowl moments, these Super Bowl MVP moments, right? Where he deserved Super Bowl MVP. Like, did the defense deserve credit? Of course, but you can't give it to a whole unit. You have to give it to a player, right?
So you give it to Vic Fangio.
Right. So maybe we could change the rules.
Jake Elliott should have been his mind. The guy everything. The guy threw 3.5 quarters, but outside garbage time scored more points than the Chiefs.
So if you can give it to this is a great Jake Elliott. If you can give it to a coach or a unit, or then yes, or like 5 players, give it to Cooper DeJean and Bond and Josh Sweat, and then you can give it to all those guys, right? But you can't. You can only give it to one player. I think one time the Cowboys, one of their Super Bowls, they had like a co-MVP, right? Two guys. I think it happened once. So, but even co-MVP, like it was hard to just split it down to 2 guys, right? Josh Sweat, I think, had 2 sacks in this game. Cooper DeJean had a pick 6. Bond had a huge interception by the 12. Williams had a sack and a half.
And the recovery.
Exactly.
Fumble and the
Exactly. So on an individual level, I do think you had to give it to Jalen Hurts. It's not like he played poorly. I think he played a great game. The one mistake into double coverage, that's true. Mahomes' mistake was even more egregious, by the way. I'm just saying. Because at least Hurts, like, you had kind of the excuse, not arm punt because they were in field goal range, but you had kind of the excuses like, hey, you pin them back into at the 3-yard line and force that situation, force the Chiefs to kind of get out of their own end zone. But still wasn't a great throw. But I do think, before we get to Mahomes and everything, I still do think that Hurts deserved it. I think in both Super Bowls he's played at a high level with one mistake, but at a high level outside of both those mistakes, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. Like we give the credit to the guys like Mahomes and Burrow and Allen and that, and Hurts is not as good as those guys. He's straight up not. I don't care if he wins the Super Bowl or not. He's not in that class, but he's right outside of that class. And he's proven that throughout this year. He's proven that he can make downfield throws when he needs to. Not that he does it consistently, but when he needs to. You couple that together with how dangerous he is on the ground. He's a good player. He just is.
Two quick points here. Let me jump in. 2 quick points here. First of all, sorry for running so late. 2 quick points here. First of all, okay, the AFC, all the complaints out of the AFC, the Ravens, the Bills, outside the Bengals are the only team really, but we have to beat Patrick Mahomes and their elite defense. They have this elite defense, and how are we gonna, move the ball? And with Patrick Mahomes, how are we gonna stop him? And then along comes the Philadelphia Eagles, okay, and they're just like, look, it's that simple. It's that simple. They literally made it look like it was the NFL playing a D3 college team. I mean, they're like, here, we're going to rush 4, make it throw. They're like, and then on offense, the Chiefs had this game plan where they're like, take Saquon Barkley out of the game. Jalen Hurts is like, no problem. I'll get the job done. And that's why 2 things. Got to put respect on Jalen Hurts for that. You might not say he's top 5, but he's a top 5 quarterback in my book because at the end of the day, he gets the job done, something that other quarterbacks have not been able to do and struggle to get done, and he constantly gets the job done. Now you can say, this happened, that happened, that. The Eagles and now the other thing, Nick Sirianni, we spoke about this before. That was the biggest game of Nick Sirianni's career because he's done it, he's won it, he now is locked in for Philadelphia loves him. He's locked into that job.
For 2.5 years, they forget about him. Like Doug Peterson, they literally made a statue of Doug Peterson doing the Philly special and then fired him 2.5 years later.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Huda, they'll love him for 6 months. Wait till next year they start the year 0-3, and then they'll hate him again.
Yeah, Philly is a little fickle.
Yes, Nick Sirianni has the best win percentage currently out of any active coach, correct? Is that correct? I believe it's correct. Look, this guy's a winner. This guy's a winner.
In 2 years. 3 years, whatever.
Yeah, but you know what? 2 years ago, they lost the Super Bowl, right? And you know what? You could have been like, Sirianni out. And then they started 11-0, and then they had the downfall, and you're like, Sirianni out.
I give a lot of credit to the Eagles organization. I agree with you. I just don't give all the credit to Sirianni. I think Howie Roseman and I think up top, you have to give them credit for constructing this incredible roster. And 6 guys on the defensive rookie contracts? Unbelievable.
They believed in this guy Sirianni to run the ship and to make it happen and to run the practice and obviously I don't remember what's the guy like defensive coordinator for the Eagles. I always say Benji. I always say Eric Spoelstra or something like that whenever I think of his name.
You are correct.
Benji, but
Sirianni has the highest win percentage of any current NFL coach. You are correct.
Yeah, so I'm saying that, look, the guy wins. And at the end of the day, that's what people – the issue with Doug Peterson, he was losing. Yes, Rocky, I agree with you. If they start 0-6, and they don't go to the playoffs next year, we can sit here and talk about it. But at the end of the day, right now he's got one of the best rosters. He's a winning coach. He knows how to win. Yeah, he's a little Dan Hurley, the guy from UConn, a little over emotional at times for sure, and sometimes it probably clouds his coaching judgments for sure. I'm 100% agreeing with you on that. But again, he finds ways to win. Whether he has the best team or not, that's a different story. That can be the front office, whatever. But the Eagles organization is something that has been talked down on for. I mean, I am responsible. Talked all year, last year, during their whole downfall, Jalen Hurts this, Jalen Hurts that, this can't be this can't do that. And then they win, they find ways to win. And when we all complained that we couldn't beat the elite Mahomes defense and the Chiefs and the refs couldn't even help the Chiefs last night. The refs tried. The refs tried to help the everyone.
Eagles. They helped the Eagles.
The Eagles,
oh my God.
Even so, they stomped them. The Eagles, didn't matter what you could have done. The refs could have got there and be like, oh, we're giving them 2 more touchdowns. Still not enough. Dude, they crushed them. Every aspect of it. Every time he called hike, the Eagles knew exactly where the ball was going. When was the last time Patrick Mahomes in his career on back-to-back plays threw a pick? Never, probably.
Against the Raiders, the worst game I ever remember Patrick Mahomes playing was against the Raiders on Christmas Day. It was 2 years ago. He had 5 big-time throws in that game. It was a career low for him. It was a Christmas Day. It was the first time they started doing like the morning games on Christmas and the days of Christmas. First one. It was Raiders. Chiefs. 3rd last week of the season, 4th last week of the season, something like that. It was last year, right? So that was the worst game he's ever. He threw back-to-back. He had a fumble and an interception or something like that. But you're right, Aaron. It's very rare. It's obviously very rare.
He did not have. I thought it was back-to-back as well. It was not. It was the pick 6 to Coop, and then they got the ball back punt, and then the Eagles punted, and then the next drive was picked. But it was.
That's right. That's right.
But the reason why it felt like back-to-back is because they were going 3 and out so fast.
Yeah.
That you thought it was the next drive, but they were going 3 and out so quickly.
They're absolutely. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. It was absolutely a horrible way for the Chiefs, and that's 2, by the way. Look, Tom Brady. I don't know what other people thought about it, but he should be announcing every Super Bowl because that insight that he was giving us from, is his voice great for the game? Maybe not, but the fact is that he gave us that constant insight of what it was like to be in Super Bowl after Super Bowl and what it takes to win a Super Bowl. It's not easy. And even he was like, it's not easy. You could hear the prep he put into it. The legacy, you can hear in his voice how happy he was because at the end of the day, Mahomes would have crushed his legacy, winning 3 in a row. It would have been crazy. And Mahomes now has 2 really bad losses, not just like a loss, horrible losses. In the Super Bowl. Yep. 2 crushed. He got crushed twice in the Super Bowl.
I also like that Brady pointed out, you think about the losses more than the wins. That's a very interesting 100%. Insight into, the psyche of a quarterback and teams where he's like, yeah, listen, I won 7, and all I do all night is think about the 3 losses. That was fascinating.
Look, a little offsite, but Connor McDavid has been a no-show in hockey this year. And people are saying, that loss last year, that is really it's a real thing. That's what I'm saying. Just losing and things like that. It's not. It really crushes you.
The joy of winning does not outweigh the sadness of losing, which is why that's a different thing. The philosophy of sports fans in general. I think we should just enjoy the process. Enjoy a season like this year where the Ravens didn't win the Super Bowl, but every week we had something to be excited about, and every week over the last 6 years you've had something to be excited about. That is a thing that a lot of fans don't have, and that in itself is a win. Even if you don't win the Super Bowl, you win the Super Bowl, and then you'll be cursing out your team 6 months later when you lose Week 1. That's the way it works. Correct. We know that because that happened in 2012, and then Week 1 they lose to the Broncos, and we're all depressed again.
Look, I agree with you. I agree. I think. I do have one thing though on that. Would you? And this is, I guess, you answered that, but the question really is: would you rather have, every year your Lamar Jackson?
Yes.
Every year, yes. And I agree with you. Yes, that you're looking. Or would you rather have a team though, like
the Rams?
Eagles, the Eagles. Hey, we're going to Super Bowls. We're winning them sometimes, but we're not a good team. We're not exciting. The Eagles, I mean, yeah, this year was a little bit more, and they've had exciting games.
No, but the Eagles
might be the most exciting.
This is the third.
Example. The Eagles are a bad example.
No, the Rams are a better example. The Rams won their one Super Bowl, and since then they've been back to the playoffs, but they haven't quite competed for a Super Bowl yet. But would you rather be in a position like the Rams or the Ravens? Definitely the Ravens, no question. Every year we think we have a chance, 100%. Even if we don't. You know?
Correct. I'm with you. And for 20 weeks out of the 52 weeks of the year, for 18 weeks or whatever it is, you're out there. You're like,
exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah,
so the Eagles had a defensive DVOA in the first half of negative 163%, which is the greatest performance in Super Bowl history in the first half by a defense. The 85 Bears in one of arguably the greatest defense of the time, but we know it's the 2000 Ravens. They were negative 137 in the first half of their Super Bowl. So this was potentially the first half when it was 24-0. I think the greatest Super Bowl performance in the first half by a defense in NFL history. The Ravens actually in 2000 ended up being tied with the 85 Bears. They both ended with negative 103%, which is it's better to be negative in DVOA. They both ended negative 103%, and the Eagles ended with a negative 73% full defensive DVOA for the game, obviously, because they started giving up those garbage time. The garbage time is weighted. They add that into the algorithm. They take the garbage time down, but you still give up the points. So it messes with their final numbers. But yeah, they weighed in garbage time. But it was the best defensive performance. I don't know if you heard, Rocky. It was negative 163 for the first half of their defensive DVOA. The 85
I heard. It's crazy. Remarkable number.
Let me ask you this, Rocky. If I called you this morning and said, "Hey, Rocky, I know you didn't watch the game last night, so I was going to give you some stats. Saquon Barkley, a million attempts for 59 yards, no touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, 220 yards, whatever it is, couple touchdowns. You would sit there and tell me, "Oh, the Eagles must have gotten their tuchus whooped." They read you Mahomes' stat line, 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, whatever it was. It's an absolute.
Xavier Worthy, 156 yards.
Yeah. You would be like, "Oh, the refs did this. Oh, that's the most refs thing ever." Like, no, but like I said, the Chiefs challenged Jalen Hurts to go out there and beat them. Because every time Saquon touched the ball, they were all on him, and he said, "No problem," and he went and he beat them.
Yeah, no, it was. Listen, there's a couple things to this, right? Because we said before the game, and we were kind of all discussing this, the Eagles are going to have to win some one-on-ones on the outside, and they did. They did, right? Because we knew that the Chiefs would make it a priority to stop Saquon Barkley, and the fact that he ran for 55, 60 yards, whatever it was, and was the design run game was a non-factor for the Eagles. A complete non-factor. They took it out of the game. Hurts had some big scrambles in there, but the design run game, for all intents and purposes, was pretty much a non-factor. And yet, Hurts had some big shots in this game, big throws in this game that Yehuda and I talked about, the throws that I was very impressed with throughout the game. He had a big throw in the second quarter, big throw in the third quarter, big one in the first quarter. Yep. So I just think at all levels in this game, Hurts really did beat them with his arms, and the receivers were getting open. And in contrast...
His legs. Don't forget his legs. He ran very well last night, too.
He did. The scrambles were huge. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. The receivers getting open down the field is such a big factor. And the Chiefs, if you look at the second level, I can't wait till the All-22 comes out on this. I'm going to watch a few of these because they were very slow out of their breaks. Kelsey, I don't know what happened to him. Like, he was actually pretty good against the Texans in the second round of the playoffs. Then the last 2 weeks, he's just, he got 2 catches against the Bills last week. I mean, he caught that pass was in the third quarter, and he just stops, right? Nothing. He just stops. But it's more than washed. It's like he can't get out of his breaks anymore. He can't get open. Nobody's getting open down the field. I'm not to take any blame away from Mahomes. It's certainly not what I'm doing. But you can't just look at. See, we're programmed to look at the quarterback when we're watching a football game, right? Yeah. We don't look at the offensive line. We don't look at the receivers. We don't look at anything else. But if you really take a look down the field, I mean, no one could create separation. And that's credit to the Eagles defense. And that's also faulted for the Chiefs receivers and not doing their jobs down the field. That's it. It's very simple. So there's a lot of things that went against the Eagles, the Chiefs in this game, and it was just a bad performance all around.
That's why I really think people are forgetting about Rashee, because Rashee Rice was a good separator and a good underneath guy. And having him and Worthy, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, they're going to have a more explosive offense. And like running Juju and the ghost of DeAndre Hopkins out there as your
ghost.
They're your number 2 receivers. And even Hopkins was dropping passes they shouldn't have been dropped. But like these guys aren't, like, they're not up to the level, especially against this level of defense. It's not there. And then Hollywood, maybe if he had a whole year to develop with the team, but he was injured obviously in preseason and just never got on the same page. And I remember seeing that one throw where Patrick, he was probably running an option route and he sat down in the zone, ran a curl, and Patrick thought he was running an out route.
Oh, third down. The third and long.
Yeah, threw to the sideline, and Hollywood stayed there like, what? And so I think that just comes with communication, being able to work with your team. So we'll see if he comes back, because I don't know if they had like a great connection, and obviously not showing up in the biggest games is going to affect how they think about it, because he was on a 1-year deal. But yeah, like our guys are just slow and old. The only guy who could get open was Xavier Worthy, and he's the only fast guy on their team.
Yeah, I mean, they do have Rashee Rice kind of, I know you said that, but Rashee Rice kind of will be the difference maker for sure for their offense, for sure.
Yeah, when Rashee Rice got injured early in the season, I thought that the Chiefs were going to be an average team the rest of the year. Like, I did not think they'd be able to overcome that. No, I guess in theory, if you look at EPA per play, if you look at DVOA, if you look at yards allowed, if you look at yards per game, they were average and everything. I pointed out last week, the defense was 15th in yards allowed, 16th in, the offense, the offense was 15th in yards per game, 16th in points per game, 22nd in rushing yards a game. Everything was average across the board, right? 15th in passing yards a game. So they were average in theory, but they found the plays when they needed them, and this game wasn't close enough to do that.
Exactly. I'm so, like, if only the Ravens could be in the NFC. Like, that's the thing with these games. These great,
because the goal is to beat Mahomes, and they beat him.
I know, but all these great AFC quarterbacks cannibalize each other and play each other and kind of beat up on each other. And Mahomes has been consistently winning, and the Chiefs have been coming out on top. But then the whole point of football is that it's one game, it's 3 hours, and your whole season could be decided by your O-line getting destroyed, and that just creates less variance for an NFC team. That the Eagles' real competition this year was the Lions, and their entire defense got injured, and they never. I mean, obviously the Commanders had a great season, but the Eagles were never really challenged by anyone in the NFC, I would say. And if you have to go from Joe Burrow, you make the playoffs, but a team led by Joe Burrow and a team led by Josh Allen, a team led by Lamar, and you have to go through all these guys to get even CJ Stroud to some extent. But it's so much easier in the NFC. Personally, I don't want to discredit anything from the Eagles, because they whooped them and they destroyed with a great 4-man pass rush, and they are an incredibly well-built team. But their path is way easier as an NFC team, personally, I believe. But we had some teams like the Vikings going through, but no one ever really believed in them, and the Commanders are still a young team. But maybe now with the Commanders on the rise in their Eagles' own division, they'll have some competition. The Lions will still be around. Maybe Michael Penix and the Falcons will be around. Maybe the NFC will get a little tougher.
Penix and the Falcons, right?
Even so, I think that the big secret the Eagles have is that everyone in the AFC, we focus very hard on beating Mahomes. That is what you have to do. And we don't even beat the Bills, so we got to beat the Bills. But it's all about beating Mahomes. So you build your whole team so that you can go out there and beat Mahomes, right? That's what the Ravens are doing. If you're the Steelers, if you're the Bengals, if you're the Browns, your goal is to beat the Ravens. So you're doing whatever it takes to beat that team. We got to go out there, and we could beat Josh Allen. That was just a bad game. But we can beat the Bills, but we can't beat Mahomes. It seems like we can't beat them. The Eagles it doesn't matter how they got to the Super Bowl. They played okay teams throughout, but they literally went in there and did what we and the Bills and the Texans and any other team in the AFC couldn't even get close to. They made it look so easy. And you talk about it, Rocky. Oh, just rushed 4. If the Ravens rushed 4, they would lose the game 100-0. Well, not really, because we would score.
No question. No question.
We would give up. Now, if you want to get into the offseason, we'll obviously talk about this, but the Ravens, and this is like the most un-Raven thing they've ever done, but they have to put all the eggs in the basket and go after and get a guy like Myles Garrett, a guy that can go after a quarterback by himself and say, hey, you, 2, 3, 4, go. And if you can do that, then yes, you can beat Mahomes. You can beat anyone. I think that the Ravens are a defensive lineman or two of those guys even from being
at a corner,
and just taking that leap into the you see it. The Eagles have just shown it. You have enough guys who can sit back, and the Ravens do. Yes, we have guys who are old. Our cornerbacks aren't great, but they're talented enough that if you give them enough time to just sit back there, you'll get coverage sack after coverage sack. Yeah. I mean, the Eagles blitzed one time, and that play was called back on a penalty. So they ended up blitzing 0 times.
On record, there were no blitzes. Yeah, no blitzes.
But they blitzed one time. The one time they blitzed was a penalty that was called back. That's crazy. They really did. And John Gruden before the game on Friday.
I tell you what, man.
I'll tell you what, man. He said. He said, Fangio's gonna do Fangio stuff. He's gonna do exactly what he was. Yeah, he's like exactly how he said.
This guy, Vic Fangio. This guy's some good stuff, man. Oh yeah.
He's gonna do exactly. He's not gonna change nothing. He said that. He's like, and he's right, because you know what? Every team tries to blitz Mahomes from here. And by the way, the craziest thing, the first play of the game. Yes, what happened?
The first play of the game
was a fake. He did a little fake to the corner, and then he found Juju Smith for an 11-yard gain.
Oh, the first Chiefs play,
And it was the Chiefs play. Beautiful play. And you're sitting there being like, oh no. Oh, here we go. Right? Like, here we go, Jim. And that was the only first down until the third quarter for them. They had no first downs outside their first throw of the game. It's utter. I wish Morty was here because it was utter domination.
Yeah, we need Morty. We need Morty on. We really need Morty on. I mean, this is a
the only reason why I really wanted to come on here was for Morty.
Celebratory Monday. I mean, like you said, dismantling the Chiefs in a way that nobody ever has. And like, just to touch on that, you said, Meisty, like we talked about it before the game. Get pressure with 4. That's how you beat the Chiefs, because we all know nobody, probably in the history of the game, carves up the blitz better than Patrick Mahomes, right? He knows exactly which direction to throw the ball, the direction of the blitzer, and he can get the ball out quickly. Like we talked about last week, when he gets the ball out in under 3 seconds, the Chiefs pretty much never lose, right? But the problem was here that you could have your full 7 DBs and rush 4 and get 16 pressures. 16 pressures and 6 sacks is just an unfathomable thing. And we said, Yehuda, right? We talked about they have the talent to do it. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat. You look across the board, even the rotational players came in and played well.
Milton Williams got to put some respect in his name. He just made himself 25
Fantastic. Milton Williams, I think if you don't have like the pick 6 and you don't have Josh Sweat with 2 sacks, he has a chance to get MVP in this game.
And he's a free agent now who's just on his rookie deal. He's going to get paid so much money. He's an interior guy who can get pressure. And, 2 sacks and a fumble recovery in the Super Bowl. That man is going to get absolutely paid. So
pay that man. No, but also another point also is that the Eagles they knew, like the 2 picks, for example, they knew exactly what Mahomes was going to do. He's going to hit that little rollout or that little blah blah, and look right over the middle. And both times that's what happened. He did the same thing, looking over the middle, and they just were sitting and waiting for it. But there was another play. Kelsey in the second quarter, I don't know how much time was left, but like I was sitting watching with my brother. My brother turned to me while Mahomes was like calling the play at the line, and he's like, Travis Kelsey's just gonna run a curl, and he's gonna throw it, and that's just the play every time. But then the Eagles, it was incomplete, but like that was the Chiefs just thought that they can come in and do the same thing they've done every other Super Bowl besides for the one, and what they've done all year long was just play their game, and everyone falls to their game. And the Eagles said, no, we're going to play our game, and our game is better than your game. I mean, going into the game, the Eagles are the better team. So if you're going to let better team play versus team, you're going to end up in a situation where the better team is going to win. That was it. I mean, the whole thing. I could not believe Jahan Dotson. That was one of the funniest things when Jahan Dotson went down. When they showed the replay right before commercials going down, and you're just like, tush push. And it was so exciting.
You almost don't even care that he's down at the 1 yard line, right? Like
no, it's good. But like that. And I really, Rocky, the way you despise of the NBA, I would be so near that type of grossness and disgustingness if they ever tried to ban such a thing. Look, everyone can do it. Go hire a guy, go draft a guy who can bench 600, go draft a guy with huge quads, go draft a couple tight ends, and go push the guy. But
the Bills have done it better this year than the Eagles have.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, because yes, but that's a silly stat because the Eagles early in the season, if you watch, were trying to do the tush push different. They tried to do something else to try to prove a point. Like, look, we can do it other ways too, and they weren't doing the push so much. They were just kind of hurt, and like somebody would nudge him a little, and they got stopped actually 3 times in one game. I don't know if you remember it. I think it was against. I forgot who it was, but twice in one game or maybe once in actually whatever it was. Then they just went back to the regular tush push, and they were just
dominating.
In the playoffs, Josh Allen ran the same tush push play 900 times against the Chiefs, and it didn't work ever.
No, the Chiefs, it didn't work. The Chiefs, well, Romo kept on pointing this out, that Allen loves to go over the left side, right? They go to the left, and the Chiefs were overloading the left side. It's clear if you watch the tape. They were obviously overloading the left side, and they didn't think just go to the right. Nobody thought that.
Let me ask you a question.
And he kept saying, "This is the best tush push of the game," or like nobody. And then he's like, "Oh, but maybe it decides for nobody does it better." And then they kept getting stopped. It was so.
Can't they get it?
Rocky, let me ask you, Rocky. You're a fan. You're a fan of the game. If you're a coach, though, we're gonna put you in the coach's shoes, and you run this play to the left, and you're like, "Oh, they stack. They're tapping. They're stacking the left. All right." We run it again to the left. All right. Well, they're stacking the left. No, that's not. No one sits there and goes, "Oh, let's go to the right." No.
Why not? It's called mid-game adjustments. That's your job as a defensive coordinator.
And I'm saying it blows my mind that there was no one sitting there being
correct.
Like,
oh, you're saying it rhetorically. Yes, correct. I agree with you. Yeah, 100%.
It blows my mind. This is what you get paid to do. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you have to go back, by the way, just rewind for a second. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes make as many mistakes in a playoff game as he did in this game, right? The interception you mentioned, the Cooper DeJean pick 6, that was a simple crossing route to Nuke. I think it was Nuke coming across the field, just underthrew it into double coverage. Horrible. And then the one to Bond was like, hey, he kind of got hit. His ankle was in a weird position in it, but also a bad decision. Then he had the sack fumble, which he never does. You never sack fumble Mahomes. Very rare for him.
That was more because I think you're winding up. You have to wind up to chuck it deep because they're just trying to chuck Hail Marys at that point, and the O-line just couldn't block anybody, and just wrenched his arm, and then he gets smacked in the face. Oh my God, that was
absolutely it was.
Too. It hit him right in the face, and there's like, incredible.
Yeah. It absolutely was. It was definitely on the O-line. I think the interception in his own end zone was also a little on the line, but it was a bad decision as well. But it's uncharacteristic, right? What have we known Mahomes for in the playoffs? When it comes to playoff time, he doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He has 2 turnover-worthy plays in the last 8 playoff games. It wasn't the case today. Last night, whatever. It just wasn't the case. He finally made some of those mistakes. Obviously, the offensive line contributed to it. We talked about it, Yehuda, right? Joe Thuney moving from guard to tackle made a big difference because that was his strength. He played well last week against the Bills, but it didn't pan out this week. He ended up giving a lot of pressure. And when you go up against Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Josh Sweat, and that front four, it's going to be a lot tougher if you're not in your natural position.
They were getting absolutely walked. You could see them. Like you said, Josh Sweat was in the backfield when he was getting the snap. It was insane. He was getting off the ball so fast. And they were getting absolutely pushed back. And one of the plays that really epitomized the game was that one play where the whole O-line got walked back so bad that Mahomes had to start scrambling, running for his life. But right. Taylor had already held him because he got beat so bad. So he already held the defensive lineman, and Mahomes running for his life, trying to get the first down, and he's like literally all of his effort, all of his work just to get 3 yards to get a first, and they're like, all right, go back holding. And it's just like nothing they could do. They were so dominated. It was.
By the way, that's all prep, and that's why again, that's Sirianni. The prep does come from the coaching staff, whether it's Sirianni and the offensive coordinators. That was pure prep. They were so prepped. It almost felt it really almost felt like the Chiefs were on vacation for the last 2 weeks, and the Eagles were locked in, and they knew every single snap count. They were ready for every single thing the Chiefs wanted to do. And there was nothing that the Chiefs could do because everything that they wanted to do was taken away. Anytime Travis Kelce, by the way, I think it was anytime Travis Kelce moved in motion, Cooper DeJean was right on him, baby. Like, he would start off somewhere else, like he was up in the other side of the field, and then Travis Kelce went in motion, and next thing you know, he's just at the line. He's like, Travis Kelce's in motion? I'm in motion. And he would just go, and that was it. You just met him at the line. Every time, he's like, I'm just going to bump you right here. And that was their game plan. It's like, okay. The whole thing was unbelievable.
Real quick on that Myles Garrett thing, I think that will be great, but I think it'll also open up, if the Ravens were to get him or any team, it has to open up the interior. I think we saw obviously edge pressure from Sweat and Hunt and Smith, but the interior pressure, the defensive tackle pressure is the thing that the quarterbacks hate the most. And especially scramblers. I think Mahomes can be characterized as a scrambler, a guy who's moving around the pocket. If he's getting pushed up in the pocket by the edge pressure, but then the interior is squishing down on him as well because those DTs are doing so well, there's nowhere for him to go. And I think, obviously, edge pressure is huge for generating fumbles and stuff, but if a guy comes off the edge and he can scramble out, that is less effective than a guy has to step up because of the edge pressure and then just pushed right into those defensive tackles. So, Matabike type, really, like, just thinking for the Ravens, if he's paired with another good defensive tackle and then a premium edge like a Crosby or a Garrett, like, that's how you fully utilize that D-line and fully go do what the Eagles did yesterday to really destroy good quarterbacks.
No, yeah, obviously, it's a great point you hit. Gap control was a big part of the game yesterday, right? Because we know that what Patrick Mahomes likes to do when the play breaks down, it's scramble kind of up the gaps, up the middle, right? He doesn't roll out that much and scramble. That's more on third down when he needs to play, but those big runs he gets up the middle. But the Eagles were staying in their gaps with 4 men. They were collapsing the pocket, not creating space for Mahomes. And when he was rolling out, he was kind of too far behind the 8 ball to create a positive play, which is what he normally does. He's an athletic guy. He can outrun the guy to the edge. He can kind of do a couple jukes, kill a couple moves. Maybe eventually someone will break open. He'll throw it down the field. But they weren't able to do that because they took away the running lanes and they took away the receivers down the field, and they were able to get pressure quick enough where he wasn't even able to improvise in the way that he normally does.
They didn't have to be stuck like every other team is stuck playing. They talk about, play too high safety, and that's the NFL today. But in the Eagles, they were playing whatever. 4 guys going in, you could play everything back there. You could be 2 high, you could be 3 high, you could be 16 high. You could do whatever you want. They were just every receiver. Like the fact that Xavier Worthy caught that ball and over the top in garbage time was like the Eagles players were celebrating already, and they're like, oh.
Terrible.
But as soon as you got past him, that look on I don't know who it was on the Eagles, but like as soon as Worthy kind of stepped, they got like 2-3 steps past him, you can see his face be like, yeah, he was like, shoot, my bad.
Yeah. You saw a couple of plays where Mahomes got his eyes for downfield, and then he had to look back upfield, underneath.
There was a couple, and then you're like, yeah, he had nothing to. He just had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go for him.
The Chiefs scored right before the third quarter ended. If you go into the fourth quarter with a shutout, like you start the fourth quarter and you are shutting them out, the backups do not come in. Like, that's when you start playing for, oh my God, if we can get a shutout in the Super Bowl against, many people already say is the greatest quarterback of all time. If you can get a shutout against it, like, that is legendary. That fully skyrockets the legend of this team, of the Eagles team. But, when you give a shout,
bottom line is the Gatorade shower happened with 2:36 left to go in the game. That is great against Patrick Mahomes with, let's call it 8. I don't know. I think it was over. I mean, it was over the whole game, but like over 8-9 minutes to go, he turned it over or whatever. It's the strip sack. I think it was the strip sack maybe, but like whatever it was just like that's it. That's
you know which team. You know which team really was not happy with the result last night. The Pittsburgh Steelers, whose former quarterback took the last kneel down of a Super Bowl victory. Kenny Pickett now has a Super Bowl ring, his first year not on the Steelers. They might be regretting that decision in the offseason.
The real storyline is that Carson Wentz lost to his former Super Bowl winning team.
A lot of good storylines beneath the surface in this one, right? Very underrated. I thought the Kenny Pickett twist was the best, though. Come on, you can't beat that.
I wanted him to get fourth down. They had him throw the ball. I'm like, you got to have 100% completion percentage. And Kenny Pickett tell his kids, I completed every single pass I threw in the Super Bowl. I finished the Super Bowl.
Absolutely, that's a legend.
But now he has a 0% completion percentage in the Super Bowl. So whatever, he still got.
But he has the last 3 kneel downs of a Super Bowl victory. So imperative part of this team. Imperative part.
All right, great win. The world is healing. The Chiefs dynasty is over, and it's time for the Ravens rise up. Let's go.
We'll see. Right. By the way, the odds for next year are already out, and the Ravens and Chiefs are tied for the best Super Bowl odds next year, and the Eagles are number 2 behind them.
Let's go.
For whatever it's worth.
Yeah, it's worth. Vegas knows, so yeah.
Great.
We'll be there.
Follow the money.
All right. I don't know if you guys can continue this awesome discussion. It was great game, and we're on to the off season.
All right, Yehuda. So I guess, listen, Yehuda, we'll be in touch about what exactly the schedule will be, what our podcast schedule will look like, and we got baseball coming up also, and March Madness and all that great stuff. So
I'm down. Let's do it.
Got some stuff on the docket. And off-season NFL with the draft and free agency, that'll get interesting.
NBA All-Star Game. I know that's what you're looking forward to the most.
No NBA on this check. Okay, we talked about the Luka thing because that was a national storyline, but we're not talking about the NBA on this podcast. You guys can talk about it, not me. I will join.
Rocky, we're gonna get to the NBA portion of our podcast. Then Rocky's gonna take a back seat, and we'll hack how many triple doubles Jokic had that week.
I know. Rocky's gonna be like, all right, I'm going to the bathroom. I'm out.
That's exactly what's gonna happen.
I'll see you guys.
All right, Yehuda. Take care. So what do you want to do, Aaron? You want to continue? I mean, we hit on everything. I guess the only other thing I have to say is that the Eagles, six of the starters on defense are on rookie contracts. They have a lot of young players, and they're set up very well for the future. And I think that Howie Roseman, again, they've done such a wonderful job constructing this roster.
Yeah.
You know, after a complete collapse last year.
Just a reminder, in a what's going to be considered, they claim, a stacked draft this upcoming season.
Is that the case?
It's not really. No, it's not. It's just that you know how the media gives that hype, and it's like 4 guys, 4 or 5 guys that everyone's chasing, and then the rest of the draft is whatever. It's one of those. But every draft mostly usually is stacked, and there's a lot of. But the Ravens have like 9 picks in the first 5 rounds.
Well, they got a compensatory from Deontay Johnson. They got that one in there.
The whole thing. The Ravens really need to. There's a lot. That's the offseason upcoming. The NFL's in good hands. Young quarterbacks, young players. A lot of all this. We went out of. I think there was a couple of years over the last maybe 3-4 years while the Chiefs I'm going to call it the Chiefs' domination of football, where the NFL was taking a turn. A little Steph Curry, came in to the league, and everything changed when Steph Curry just was chucking threes, and now everyone chucks threes, and it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL went through that with the Chiefs and the Mahomes, who they weren't the best, but they just crushed you in every way they possibly can. They crushed you. And now the NFL, I think, is going to catch up to that, and everyone's changing the game, and NFL is never going to be stupid, because as long as men are tackling men, it's going to be a fun game. Until they take away the tackling or the tush push, we have a good sport.
So that's a big takeaway from today's game is, like you mentioned, the dynasty is over. The Chiefs' dynasty is over. I'm not so sold on it. I still think the Chiefs are going to make their runs. They're going to make their Super Bowls. They'll probably win some more Super Bowls. That's what I think. I do think the fashion in which they won this year would make you think it's not sustainable. But I didn't think it was sustainable last year either. They had a worse regular season last year. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. I'm not bought on the fact that the dynasty is over. I do think eventually the Ravens and Bills will both beat them once in the playoffs, at least. I do think that's going to happen.
But Brady, I was saying, because Brady mentioned it last night. He's like, yeah, we won. I won my second year. I won the next one. Then I won a couple years later. He's like, and then it's like 10 years until I was back winning again, you know? I wouldn't be shocked if something similar. Look, it's not easy to win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady made it look simple.
Yeah.
The Chiefs made it look easy. That's the difference. Tom Brady just made it look simple. He's like, look, this is what you do. You prep, you come into the game, you kick the toughest, you go. He's like, the Chiefs, they made it look easy. Here's how you win a game. All you got to do is win. Make it easy, simple. It's like that. I think that it's not so simple, and it's not so easy. And these two teams were in the right era. But like you said, I believe next year, the Chiefs could get beat in the playoffs, and it's going to be the Bills or the Ravens, or you know what, the Texans. Look, if the Texans make the right offseason moves, they have a really good defense, struggling offensive line. Make the right moves, you know. Myles Garrett's going to be on the move. Whoever lands Myles Garrett's going to be a competitive team. The 49ers this past year were a disaster. They're going to be an entertaining team. So
and the Lions have their, without their injuries. You got to look at them as a threat as well.
The Lions are one of the best teams. The Vikings could no one believes in them, but hey, they could be that team, you know.
As Yehuda said, Michael Penix and the Falcons, yeah.
I mean, the only team I truly don't believe in is Tua and the Dolphins. Other than that,
that's the team? What about the Jaguars? What about the Raiders? What about the Browns?
No. I believe that, first of all, if the Browns just brought back Jameis as their starter, he'd make the playoffs. That's number one.
Yeah,
just give me more Jameis Winston football.
Instead of DTR. What's this DTR stuff over there?
Yeah. Then, I also, I believe the Commanders win their division next year. You know, I believe that the Eagles go to the playoffs as a wild card. I mean, we could talk about this forever, but
early season predictions. That's a bold one, though.
Yeah,
I tell you, I'm not so confident in the Commanders because they've never been good at building good rosters. Straight up, never been good at that. Like, yes, Jaden Daniels is a special player, and I think the reason the Commanders have had so much success is because of Jaden Daniels. It's very simple, right? The defense was not good this year. They have Terry McLaurin's a fantastic weapon down the field, obviously, but they just don't have a good roster. And the Redskins have not been good at building good rosters, neither when they were the Redskins nor when they're Commanders, football team, whatever. They have not, since the Joe Gibbs days, this is not a team that's been consistently good year in and year out. They kind of had the 1 year with RG3, and now they're having this little stint with
ownership.
Daniels.
New ownership.
Maybe they're turning a corner. Maybe they're turning a corner. You're right. And I might be wrong about that. But
that's why I said, like, ownership is huge. We talk, like, the Eagles stuck out that ownership. It's new ownership. By the way, hello, how many other teams out like talk about a real dynasty over the last 20 years? The Eagles constantly find themselves in the championship games and in the Super Bowl. I mean, not that they, so it's very interesting. Like, we talk a lot about the Chiefs and we talk a lot about the Patriots, but since 2000, the Eagles have just been a constantly good team. I mean, the Vic days, they had McNabb. And then they went to, I mean, technically, I don't remember who it was, like Carson Wentz came eventually, and then Nick Foles had the win, and then now they're here at Jalen Hurts. So it is an incredible, and Kenny Pickett, I mean, that's incredible, a super winning champion right there.
The Eagles have done a great job. The Eagles have done a great job constructing their roster.
My favorite stat of the Super Bowl actually is on the rushing. I looked under the rushing stats. It says Kenny Pickett -4. I did not. I had the over -2.5.
All right. Well, you figured but the over probably was like, because you figured if it was a blowout, then we'll probably just get kneel downs, right? That was probably the assumption. It's great stuff, man.
We talk about all their exotic bets. Who thought Kenny Pickett throwing the ball?
Right, that would be in there. Yeah, it's remarkable to have such a blowout in this Super Bowl. In this Super Bowl, the last game of the season, you're not worried about injury risk that you put your backup quarterback in. That is remarkable.
He's. You say risk of injury. At the end of the day, what was going to happen? Jalen Hurts is going to go out and hand the ball off 3 times. Come on. So you send your guy out there.
He should have got the last kneel down, right? I feel like that would have been a little.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He was done. He was off. He was already celebrating. He was done. Yeah, he was done.
He was off the party.
I don't. Look. I mean, Yehuda mentioned it. I heard it earlier. Look, the Chiefs though. Andy Reid is going to retire within the next couple of years. He's going to retire.
Travis Kelce. Going to go. I wonder if Kelce will retire after this year.
He's got. I don't know if. I think he's going to come back one more. I think he'll do one more, and they'll probably lose to either the Ravens or the Bills in the championship game, and he'll go out. Like that. That'll be his That'll be his go out. That'll be my prediction. But I also believe. But I do think that, here, Mahomes, this is the Mahomes-Brady moment where, hey, I'm going to lose he didn't lose the coach, but I'm going to lose my big players. I'm going to lose my main guy, Travis Kelce. That's when he's got to find the next guy. And Patrick Mahomes in 4 years from now could just be your average, top 5, top 7 quarterback, and he's going to be...
That's what he's been the last 2 years in the regular season.
That's what I'm saying. So why... And it's only getting worse. So now he's still a great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes he is the best quarterback. He is a great quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He makes incredible plays, incredible throws, great decisions. But a lot of that's been his offensive line and coaching, and a lot of that's been, hey, I have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce at their prime. Let me just toss it up to these guys. But that's been taken away from him, and it's showing. It truly showed last night in the biggest moment. And by the way, the chutzpah, the disrespect of Patrick Mahomes to show up in a green suit to the Super Bowl.
Oh, did he? I didn't even know that. That's funny.
Chutzpah. Chutzpah. Eagles green. It was an Eagles green Super Bowl. Suit. It was chutzpah.
That's funny. I didn't even know. I didn't even know he did that. No, but listen, Mahomes is obviously a great player, but there's no question there's been a drop-off in his performance the last 2 years. You just can't deny it. The numbers have just taken a dramatic dip. If you take away the fact that this guy has played so well in the playoffs, which you can't, obviously, that's ridiculous to say. I'm just saying, in this theoretical world, if you did, we were talking about a guy that's rated 5 to 10 in the league, right? That's where you're putting him. You're putting him behind Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Jared Goff the last 2. That's where you're putting him.
But also, and this could be attributed to whatever you want to say it was, he wins games. That guy wins football. He didn't win the biggest one last night, but Patrick Mahomes wins football, and it's probably the most painful thing because you're like, bro, you're not even good, and then he goes out and he beats you, and you're like, oh.
Well, yeah, on a throw-for-throw basis, he's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not overly fun to watch like it used to be.
No, like I said, right, it was something to it when he scrambled out of the pocket. And Tyreek Hill is, by the way, Ravens, please go get Tyreek Hill as well. I don't care for all the off-field problem. Go get me Tyreek Hill. Lamar Jackson scrambles, and Tyreek Hill just flies down the field. Hello.
I don't think passing game is the Ravens' problem. I don't think running game is here. I don't really think they have a weakness. I just think they got to get over the hump. That's really it. But anyway, listen, I think about Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's it either. But I think, look, to get back to Patrick Mahomes, I do think that it's not winning games because I think football's a team sport. I don't just credit the quarterback for winning games. But it is critical third downs. It's critical plays in the fourth quarter. It's scrambles when you need it. It's extending the play long enough to make a throw down the field. That's what Patrick Mahomes does so well. And you look at the tape on a throw-for-throw basis, he's not the best quarterback in football. He's not. Lamar's better, Allen's better, Burrow's better. You can make a case for Goff the last 2 years. You can make a case for Hurts the last 2 years. You can make a case for all these guys easy. But the thing that puts him apart from the other guys is that he kind of knows how to make these critical plays in critical situations. So the question is, how do you want to judge that, right? Do you look at a guy like Lamar or Allen, who just from beginning to end throughout the season perform at a way higher level than Mahomes, but don't have, aren't able to convert third downs at the same rate as he is, aren't able to convert in the red zone. I mean, Lamar and Allen did actually, but in general, right, aren't able to make those critical plays like he does? Or do you put more weight into the fact that, okay, he's not great for 3 quarters, but When you need him to make a couple plays, he makes some special plays. How do you rate that? And that's really what it comes down to. I think it's more important to give me a full body of work. From week 1 till the Super Bowl, who's better? I'm not just looking at a few games. I'm not just looking at a few plays. I'm looking at the entire body of work. But not everyone's going to look at it like that.
Yes, you're right. But at the end of the day, and we talked about, just being excited every week, and that's what we have as Ravens fans. We get to just be excited every week. But the ultimate difference between Mahomes and all these guys is he not just has he's very let's say he's number 5 in the league. Let's say he's the 5th best quarterback in the league. I don't care where you want to put him. At the end of the day, if you're a Chiefs fan, you win Super Bowls. So you did it ugly. So you got a blown call. So what? In 10, 15 years from now, you guys went to 3 Super Bowls in a row. You guys almost won 3 in a row. Y'all won 5 out of 7 or whatever it was. You're going to be back in the Super Bowl in every year from now on. Like every year, it's like
as a Chiefs fan, of course. As a Chiefs fan, certainly, all I care about is winning the Super Bowl. Yeah.
If you told me every year if you told me Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl next year, I'd be like, okay.
Can we do something? Yep. Can we do something before we sign off? So early, now that you mentioned that, early look at next Super Bowl in a year from today. Who will be playing in the Super Bowl? In a year from today,
Chiefs,
who will it
be? Chiefs. No, I'm kidding.
Chiefs versus who?
First of all, no, yeah, refs versus at the NFL.
I have to think about this one.
I'll tell you. First of all, Ravens Lions is my.
That's going to be a popular one. I know that's going to be a popular one because you don't want to pick the Eagles again. And
my unpopular, my real pick, the 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl. It's their season.
Against who?
Bills, Ravens, Bengals. It's going to be one of the other teams this year.
You got to pick one.
Final prediction. Let me ask you, Ravens, 49ers again. I'll run it back. But actually, give me, you know what? Give me the San Diego LA Chargers versus the San Francisco 49ers. You want a wild one? There's your wild prediction.
Jim Harbaugh's former team against his former team.
That's what I said. Yo, Rocky, can we talk about something?
I'm gonna go Bills. I'm gonna go Bills, Lions. That's my prediction.
Rocky, before we really sign off, here's the ultimate. Rocky, which 4-year-old made the score bug for the game last night?
Oh my god!
What in the score bug?
That NFL was not good.
Fox hyped up this score bug. Watch the score bug. New score bug. Stop it. Do you know the last time the people liked the new score bug? Never. Let me ask you a real question. If you're an NFL productions team, all right, and you're like, oh, let's make something new here. You know what I would do? I would call a fan of any team that's out there and be like, yo, come to this meeting. Hey, fan of football, do you like that score bug? No, that's disgusting.
Hey, fan of football.
Like, what are you doing? No, like, what NFL Fox, what are you doing that you thought that was the good idea? No one liked it. No one thought it, like, no one, how many people were in that meeting? And how many people sat there and saw it and said, that's great, good job. Huh? Get back from vacation, get back to work. When they dropped the Super Bowl video replay on the DVDs for the Eagles fans to buy, they used to do that. Remember back in the day, they used to buy.
Oh yeah. Now they have America's Game. It's like a whole production.
Can we edit the score bug? Just give us a new score. I don't want to show. Don't show me highlights of the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl and I have to see that score bug in 20 years. I don't want to see it. Just change it.
I think there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail that goes into it. I think the fact that they showed more screen rather than covered up more of the screen and the scoreboard, they like that. Also, the fact that they showed third and whatever, first and whatever on each side, so you know who had the ball.
I got confused. Just look at who has the ball on the field. Just look for who's snapping it. Come on.
It's the Super Bowl. Not everyone's not. Oh, there's a lot of people that don't really know.
Okay, you can put a little football. Okay, you can put a little football like everyone else.
I agree. For me, it threw me off. I agree. There must have been some thought put into it.
The bottom line is when it showed the 70-yard line, or it showed, I didn't know. I got confused between the score and the yard line. Okay, that's what was happening to me out there. It just didn't look pretty. It doesn't look
No,
good.
it didn't. It threw you off. It was just floating there also. It was kind of in midair.
The last time I did like a score bug, was March Madness dropped one last year. They dropped this score bug where it popped out of someone. It was a cool little, but basketball it doesn't have as much information, so you just kind of stick it. But dude, come on, we all like it where you just show the little bug across the board. We don't need to see nothing.
Make it simple.
Show us more replay. Focus more on replays and showing us more of that.
And commentary and analysis. I agree with you.
I just want to hear, just mic up Jameis Winston every game. Let us hear Jameis Winston the whole game.
More mic'd ups would be fun. I agree with you. Now, listen, I think the score bug, it was a little weird. It did throw me off a little bit. But generally speaking, I think they do a good job improving the scoreboard on that Super Bowl, right? Because always on the Super Bowl, they release the scoreboard for the next year. So I think generally speaking, they do a good job. This time was threw me off a little bit, certainly. But listen, I think Brady did a good job this year. I think he started off, he was a little reluctant to kind of say what was on his mind. But then he started, sharing some of his own experiences a little more, sharing some more analysis, trying to go out on a limb a little more, which is how Romo got popular. He says crazy things. You kind of got to do that to gain some popularity as a commentator. Crazy things with a little chachma behind it, right? But you do have to say something a little out of the box.
I think the difference here also is that Tony was more involved in the game, while Brady's more like, look, you're the announcer, you hype up the fans.
Right.
I'm going to give a perspective of being the greatest of all time. Here's the greatest of all time's perspective of things. So I do look. I also like I said earlier, I loved Tom Brady for the Super Bowl. I would put Tom Brady on either every Patrick Mahomes game or just every time the Super Bowl comes around, just give it to him and let him be out whoever's announcing. So just put Tom Brady in the booth.
Romo was built for Mahomes. Romo was built for Mahomes. The way he gets pumped up for Mahomes. It's nothing like it. Here we go, Jim Patrick Mahomes in 2 minutes to go in the AFC. This is what you play for. This is what... did you hear it? Patrick Mahomes, by the way, Tony Romo's best moment of the season, right? When the Bills are about to beat the Broncos. And they're showing the game for next week. They're showing the games. They don't release the times till Sunday night in the wild card round, fourth divisional round, right?
We're going to be doing that.
Right away he's like, that's the game I've been waiting for all year, Ravens, Bills, and they're sending us out there. I can't wait to do that game with you, buddy. And Jim Nantz gave this nervous laughter. He's like, oh, you got the call already, did you? And he's like, yeah, they're sending us out there, Jim, and I can't wait. It's going to be so good. It's like he's literally releasing CBS's secrets already on the thing. That's Tony Romo. He probably went there before the season and begged. He's like, listen, man, you got to give me Bills, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, whatever it is.
I think my favorite Tony Romo moment was he's like, oh, if I was a coach, I would be glad that I have Patrick Mahomes here too.
Oh, that's great.
No, I do agree. Certain things. I think Fox did a great job. I think Fox did a great job giving us what the fans were looking for overall at the end of the day. By the way, I wouldn't mind if a score bug disappeared when the guy called hike. I think that would be so much cooler.
That's an interesting one. They do take it away sometimes, sporadically throughout the game, but generally speaking, it's there.
Yeah. Mostly it's there. Anyway, okay.
All right, good. So it's been a fun season, and even though we just started, our podcast season started 4 days ago. But
hey, this is where our podcast. This is we keep it strong until the season. Yeah, but we keep it strong throughout the week and throughout the season and off season, and we come into next season. If we have a podcast going, we could be rocking and rolling.
Listen, we got March Madness coming up. We got the baseball season coming up. We got some exciting stuff coming up. So hopefully we'll release some content and for everyone's enjoyment.
The NFL off season.
NFL off season, free agency, draft. So we'll see everyone then. Hope everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl and NFL. Another football season in the books. Meisty. That's all she wrote.
Always.
We'll see everyone later.